Hello everyone, my name is Vikas, and in this session we will talk about further in the Hyperledger Fabric. So in my previous videos, I have spoken about how to set up your Hyperledger Fabric network and what all type of files are involved, like to create the certificates, to create the Genesis block, channels, and how you can create the container for Docker. So now we will move to the chain code, and the very first thing you have to understand that what is chain code and what is the interface which we use to develop your chain code. So that is the topic of this session, and we will discuss in the detail about the chain code. Not in the detail about how we can implement, that will be our next session, but here we will just talk about a theoretical concept, what is chain code and how this chain code stub interface will be used in going forward in the chain code. So this is again blog which you can just go and read about in case you want to read, and which covers the same thing which we're going to cover in this video as well. So the very first thing which comes to our mind, which you might have the question that what is chain code. So as you can see, which we had wrote down here, so chain code is nothing is smart contract. So if you have any past experience on the blockchain, if you have worked on Ethereum, or if you have gone through our previous videos on the Ethereum, you might have heard about the smart contract word, which we used to build in using the Solidity language. So chain code is similar to that. So we used to build the smart contract in the Ethereum in Solidity, and in the Hyperledger you build the chain code. So this is both things are equivalent. You write your functionality, whatever functionality you want to implement on a blockchain, that you will write in the chain code. So you can write the functions which you require, you can create the variables which you need, and like to update your blockchain, you query and append the information, all kind of things you can do in the chain code. So the developer, whenever we talk about the Hyperledger developer, so the developer, the main portion which developer do in the Hyperledger is the chain code. So they develop the chain code using the standards and the other security features. So the main portion which developers do in a Hyperledger Fabric, that is the chain code, right? So now the next thing which you have to understand is that, okay, what is the chain code interface? So whenever you people create a chain code, you have to use the chain code interface. Okay, so every chain code should implement the chain code interface. So as you can see in this example, so this chain code interface has two functions. So that means whenever you create any chain code in a Hyperledger Fabric, you should have these two functions implemented there. One is the init function, second is the invoke function. Okay, so you can see here the comments also mentioned down above in this example. So init is called whenever you instantiate or upgrade your chain code. So whenever you're doing setting up your network very first time, you will set up your chain code, you will initiate that, and then this init function will be invoked very first time. Okay, and then later you can use the invoke function to do other kind of functionality to process your transactions. You can append your transactions, you can query your transactions using the invoke function. So init will be invoked mainly first time when you start your chain code, when you instantiate your chain code on a Docker container. That is the very first time which you use the init function, and invoke will be used for other kind of functions which you have, query, append, and other functionality which you have. So this is the two main functions which you see in each and every chain code, because this is the interface which you have to implement. And then you can see there is a chain code stub interface. So this chain code stub interface provides the functions. Whatever functions you will use going forward in the chain code, that is part of this chain code stub interface. So we haven't put a full example down here in this down section, but you can just see at high level all these functions are here. You can see get arguments, get function and parameters. You will get to see these functions being used in the next video, where we'll show you that how you can use this one. But just remember this now, for now, chain code stub interface will have many functions implemented, so you can use that going forward in your chain code. If you want to go in the detail, so this is a link which you can just go, which is the Go doc. Why we have to go here? So chain code right now can be written in two languages. One is Go language and the Node.js. In the starting version, it was only Go. Now it is Node.js is also supported, and going forward, Java will be also supported for writing a chain codes. So the main popular right now is Go language only right now, which we have. So if you just go the function, what all functions we have on the chain code stub interface, you can just go to this link and you can just check the functions which we have. Like here, the details also mentioned about each functions, right? So this is mentioned that when this function has to be used, and what function will be used with level DB or the couch DB, and how you can put your state, how you can store your state, how you can get your state, how you can delete the value using a key. So all these functions is part of this stub interface. So this become very major interface which you will use each and every day when you will start using the Hyperledger Fabric. So every chain code will have this stub interface being implemented in the chain code, and then they use this function in the chain code as per the requirement. So this is at very high level, just to talk about the chain code and the interfaces which we have. So you will always go for this chain code stub interface in your chain code, and then you will always have this two function in each and every chain code, init and the invoke function. So this is all we have in this video, and in this next video, before we go to the chain code example, we will talk about what is a state DB and how this is being used in Hyperledger Fabric. Thanks for watching.